chosen to make the opening scene straight away with the action of the main actor washing his face in different angles because I wanted my audience to engage with it straight away. Also, I've made an over-the-shoulder shot for her reflection in the mirror, and I tried to cheat a little bit to make her disappear so we don't see her in the mirror anymore. In the scene where the main actor cleans the knife and we see her face, I've used the mask tool overlaid on the top of the knife, which presented his emotions in the visual style. The flashback scene was made on purpose in sepia, so audience can identify the difference between the reality and the memories. The performance was clearly seen from actors as they are arguing, and the dominant in this argument was the girl who left the guy. We can also see his emotions afterwards. He is seen as depressed, upset. He is left alone, so he behaves quite aggressive in some way. The idea of him smoking and drinking beer, thinking about what he lost right now, makes the scene even more realistic and believable, because the audience should engage with the actors, with the characters' feelings, and also with him being left. And despite his, I think, a bit bad characteristics, because the mise-en-scène is also quite important in the scene with where he sits with the laptop and drinks beer, because it shows his, I would say, his soul, kind of his inside. We see books, we see newspapers, cigarettes put on the table in quite messy way. We see the other bottle of alcohol. The lighting I tried to make on purpose with the yellowish effect, so I tried to copy a little bit from the scene in Rum Diary, where Johnny Depp's character is typing, I think it was the article for the press or for the magazine. So I wanted him to look like it a little bit, not as artistic and like working, but with a bit dull yellowish light, with quite messy mise-en-scène and messy table, and also with alcohol, and like I couldn't really use smoke in the room, but he smoked, so it added this idea of him thinking and depressing at the same time. To suggest that he's looking for the job, I used cutaways, like what he sees on the screen, and made the audience look at it as well. We see the close-up of the screen where it says apply for the job, and if you look carefully, it says like the time of the interview and where you want to be, where he wants to be, and he goes there. And the music was was written by a non-copyright band, Red Commissioner, and I've chosen that song, which called Hear and Brew on purpose, because this song really reflected his mood. Like he's a bit like not confident, like a bit in a like not dreamy world, but he's lost. He didn't lose his feelings, but like she's gone like in abstract kind of world, because this song is a bit in a bit like Pink Floydish style, like one of my friends suggested. So I thought it worked brilliantly to that scene where he smokes, drinks, and he's a bit kind of like on drugs, but he wasn't, but the feelings was to it. So next scene just quickly cuts to him walking down the street looking smarter than he was, but still not smart enough. I put on him coat this time, quite smart coat, so, and a scarf as well, because I wanted him like to kind of the character to prepare for the job. He goes to the high quality restaurant and he wants to get this job because the argument was clearly about money and about him not having the job. So his girlfriend left him because he lost his job, and that's why he desperately needs this job. Therefore, he puts his coat on, he wears smarter clothes than he was before. And we see the administrator in a two-minute shot, which quite presents her in a different position to him. She wears a smart suit, black, and she is serious. She holds a folder which shows her status over him. She's working at this place and she doesn't seem to be a person who wants to give him a job. In the next scene I used split screen to show him being late. We see on the right side, we see the interview being already started with the chef who is represented as being quite serious, quite strict, emotional. He speaks, he gesticulates, he wears his uniform, which definitely suggests him being a chef, and he has a strong French accent, which I wanted to emphasize. I asked the actor to speak naturally, how he would, not trying to overcome his accent. The lines I wrote for him were just the guidelines. I just said do it as naturally as possible, so it looked believable. And on the split screen, we see how nervous they are and how confident he is. The way he looks, the way he walks. He's a bit nervous because he starts to fast slightly, but he doesn't show it much at all. He smiles, touches the cutlery on the table, which was the actor's interpretation. I just said to him, walk, look around, and he just came to the table and touched the knife, smiled, and I left it because it was really natural and believable. And when he comes in the establishing shot, we can see the restaurant environment, and the way he behaves is completely opposite to the way the other guys behave. And he charms the chef and hopefully the audience straight away by him being able to speak different languages and just the way he speaks, the way he presents himself. And I wanted to show Chef as well quite a lot from different angles. I showed him in a high angle shot because he is the boss, he is important, I guess, and from different sides as well, like how he walks, how he speaks, emphasize his voice as well. And when we start to see on the screen the first waiter serving the table, I showed the way he puts cutlery and plate on the table in the close-up, so we see how bad he is, and also how he pours the wine inside the glass badly. Also, with girls, I wanted to show their emotions as well, not just hands. And I obviously, you can see how I cross-cut it with the waiter and administrator saying next, okay, fine, good, bad. So I used quite a different range of shots, from close-ups to high angles, low angles, focused a lot on the mise-en-scène and on the props. I thought in this scene props are one of the most significant parts. I wanted to see the wine, the bottle, the shiny glasses, plates, cutlery, everything should be shiny and clear to suggest the high level of the restaurant and what does this guy wants, the main guy wants, how high he wants to be in order to get his girlfriend back. When we see the main guy being given a job, or as the chef says, trial, his performance changes slightly. He becomes, he smiles, he's happy, and we can see that he didn't expect that he would be given the job. And what I thought would be a good idea is to show the handshake in a close-up afterwards, but if I was able to return to that film again, but I wasn't able to refilm it, so I think this particular scene, the whole of the scene in this interview, didn't look very with a big range of shots. There weren't many cutaways and close-ups, unfortunately. So I thought this interview scene, which was one of the main resolution scenes, wasn't as strong in terms of shots. However, the next thing I cut to is him calling to his ex-girlfriend, and here I did him from different angles and sides, mainly middle shot and close up, show his face, his emotions, him changing, reacting to what she says. So despite we don't hear what she says, we hear his response. And I guess it was clear that she is going to come, and it makes him happy. It makes him he feels that he succeeds. And also I filmed his hand saying yes in a close-up as well. I put him in a waiter uniform already, so it is clear that he is a worker of the restaurant. He is already a waiter, and he went on the yard, backyard, to talk to her, I guess on his break. And in terms of lighting, there was very dark, so we had to use torch, which we put on his face, so we see his face clearly as well. Unfortunately, I had to delete, in editing process, the scenes of him being already a waiter, in this restaurant. There was a scene where he serves the table. It was very with details, how he puts it slowly, accurately, with the music on the background. He's confident walking. Then there was a scene where he serves the couple as well, and the other waiter who brings juice. And I wanted to show more of this environment of restaurant and him being in this environment, but unfortunately, because of limited time, the maximum I could have is 5:30. I wasn't able to keep it because it wasn't very necessary in terms of telling the story, the narrative. So I had to get rid of some scenes and cut many of them. But if I was able to keep them, I would, because they are very show the style of the film I wanted to make and of the restaurant. So next scene is also the most restaurant scene. We see his girlfriend coming, and I thought of both actresses, her and Kate, who played hostess or theater administrator. They both were really good, despite they are non-English speakers. I think all of my actors are non-English speakers. They spoke really well, and it was clear that the girls knew what to do, how to behave in the restaurant. The girl who played administrator, I directed her, but she did her job herself, mainly by bringing the menu, saying "follow me, have a good evening." So I basically let her, but she did it herself, which I thought was very good. And the costume she wore was also very appropriate. I asked her if she could straighten her hair as much as she could, and wear heels, which we couldn't see, but we could hear her walking, and wear like straight black suit, which was very appropriate. And also the girlfriend, we also worked with her on her costume. I asked her to wear smart clothes, like I said, dark dress, dark coat, something which is smart. It's not necessarily have to be like school uniform or black, but something smart. And she came up with like this costume from my explanation, and I thought it was also very important the way how she presents herself. She behaves more like a lady. So despite the audience might not like her at the beginning because she is the cause of Nicholas going to get the job, I think she can be seen as being worthy to this guy trying to get her back. Like she's good, she's presentable, confident, nice, and that's why he wants, like, he behaves for her. And the dialogue for girls we recorded separately because of the restaurant music, because it was opened restaurant, there were other guests, we couldn't hear this dialogue very well, so we recorded it separately and put it over the top. So I hope it sounds right and appropriate, because I tried to work out in the edit the levels of the sound together with the music, because I should speak of music as well. The music we hear in the restaurant, it wasn't like recorded separately. I didn't choose it. It was the music played in the restaurant. I wasn't really able to ask them, like workers, can you turn music off, because it was a working process for them. It was their working day, evening, and I wanted to film it in the evening, this last scene, and I put her on purpose on the table next to the window, so we can see the cars at the back, we can see lights of the city, of the urban life, and like the place of this restaurant is also quite, I wouldn't say like expensive, but it's the center of the city, and it portrays how this main guy, where he wants to be for her, and how she wants to be seen as well. And the music on the background is also quite romantic, mainly French, because the restaurant is French. The ending of like the music, which was at the end, was appropriate, but it was too nice, too over, like, I wouldn't say cheesy, but kind of very like over romantic. It was my opinion, but then I thought it was suitable for the scene, so I kept it. And in terms of like shots, I really wanted to focus on, again, the props. It was my original idea, and when he arrives, like at the scene in the room she sits, she holds her menu over the top of her face. So the idea was that she doesn't see him first. Hopefully you get the idea. She doesn't know that he working there. She just thought that he invited her, and that was his idea. He wanted like to invite her to the restaurant, like for the date, so she thinks that. But then he appears and she realizes that he works in this restaurant. He achieved like her dream, and she realizes that, wow, great, he works in that restaurant, which she always wanted to go to, and here it is. And so The close-up of white wine being poured in the glass in a slow way was very important. The way he put it on the table, and then we hear the sound of the lighter being turned on, and then slowly how he lights the candle. And again, I really liked the position of the shot. We see glasses on the table, cutlery put, everything is like clear and accurate. And behind the pure bottle of wine, there is a candle being lit, and behind it there is like urban nightlife city. And I just thought that this shot worked perfectly for that scene. It's romantic, but at the same time very stylized. And then we cut straight away to her putting the menu down and realizing that like here he is, and I made her eyes like focused close up of her eyes, like what, realizing like, oh, am I seeing this? And we see that her face becomes smiling, and then middle shot of him smiling to her at the back. And that's it, that's how I ended the film, so audience can get the idea like, oh well, it's an open ending. We don't really know, like maybe he's gonna say, well, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna stay with you because yeah, you left me, so you see what I like, the job I get, that's it. Or he's gonna say like, Claire, come on, like I got this job, do you love me or something. So we don't see it, we don't know what's gonna happen, we don't know if they're gonna be together or not, and that's why I left it like that. I had the other sequence at the end where she stands up, they hug, kiss, that's it. And then I thought, no, I'm not gonna leave. I'm not gonna tell the ending. I want to leave the ending open. And yeah, like she smiles, he smiles, and that's it. I hope it wasn't very abrupt ending, but I think it worked. I hope I covered all of microfeatures and macrofeatures areas. Thank you very much for the listening, and hope you enjoyed my film and audio commentary as well.